So the Rebbe, as usual, this is a speech that the Rebbe gave right in the beginning of 1992. So right before that, the speech, I guess the day before it, is there was a meeting in the United Nations with Gorbachev and Reagan, and they decided that they're going to disarm. They're going to stop nuclear armament and etc. and use the money that they usually use for that for more productive purposes. And so it was a big breakthrough, an amazing breakthrough. So the Rebbe said that this is the reason that they're doing it is not because any human natural reasons, because human natural reasons and they've been in existence from, since the beginning of time. And there's never been such anything like this. So the reason that they're doing it is because now we are approaching the days of the Moshiach. And we can say, a parenthetical statement that even though we see that it didn't last that long, but just the fact that it opened up a window to this, it shows that it is possible and that it is going to be the state. And it says the state of the world. And especially because they made it in the United Nations, which in a building that has written on it this sentence from Isaiah that they'll beat their swords into plowshares, and there won't be any, neither will they learn war anymore, or beat their swords into plowshares. A sentence from Isaiah that he's talking about one of the main features of the future redemption is that Mashiach is going to come and teach everyone that what God really is, and that how much God loves everybody, and that the Torah is the truth, and that everyone is born with, God gave us this amazing gift, which is called responsibility. Every human being is responsible to improve the world and this area around him by doing what it says in the Torah, the 7 Noahide commandments for the non-Jews and the 613 commandments for the Jews. So the Mashiach is going to, and because of that, there's going to be peace in the world. And peace in the world will enable everyone to receive the blessings of God and also to express the potential which is inside of each and every person. And the Rebbe said, even in the most mundane things, and that is also hinted at by the fact that this meeting happened in the month of Shvat, which the month of Shvat is the 11th month of the year. The number 11 has a special significance to it. We talked about that a few days ago. There's the 10 Sefirot and the one above that. And also it's the month that the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe passed away, and our Rebbe took over the steering wheel a year later, the month of Shvat. So that's the month of Mashiach, because all the Rebbes of Chabad are the Mashiach of their generation. They took on themselves to wake up all the Jewish people. And that's also another sign of what's happening now is connected to Mashiach. And also with the fact that, it's in this week's Torah portion, which is Mishpatim. And Mishpatim is talking about laws, regular laws of damages and monetary laws, the most mundane, seemingly non-religious things that there could possibly be, just talking about some of these ox getting damaged or something. So he says that's the whole point of Mashiach, is to reveal the essence of God even in the most mundane things, and that even in monetary laws, they really belong to God. They belong to God. And the Rebbe pointed out, not here, but other places, that wonderfully in the money and every bill and every coin that's printed in America, it says, "In God we trust." And the Rebbe pointed out, not here, but elsewhere, God we trust is not in God we believe. Believing in God is a general thing. Trust is usually with money. Money. In other words, I trust God that he'll take care of me. If I'm honest, I trust God. He'll take care of me. I want to steal. I want to lie. I think that's the only way I can get what I want. Trust God. Don't worry. Put your trust in him. It'll work out, right? It'll trust. Trust means actual, physical, in the most mundane things in the world, even in monetary matters, which usually make people go crazy. Money. Trust God. And it's written in the money. So that the Rebbe said that's this whole Torah portion is Mishpatim is talking about monetary laws. And in the Talmud, where is explained all the laws that are in this week's Torah portion in what's called Baba Kama, Baba Metzia, Baba Batra. It's called Nezikin, the laws of damages. It says, hello. Hello, someone is groaning and moaning. What's going on? 1 second. We're gonna unmask this over here. What's happening? Okay, whoever is making those sounds, you're free to do it, but at least mute yourself. Okay, let's go. So he says, oh, so that's the idea of mishpatim, right? Mishpat. That's this week's Torah portion. And also the Rebbe said, I'm just doing a repetition of what we learned. Last week's Torah reading, which is Yitro, ends with talking about the altar, Mizbeach, in the temple. And next week's Torah reading that we read about is talking about making the whole holy temple. It was called the Mishkan that traveled with them in the desert. It was also called the assembly Mikdash. There was the travel with them. So that's the idea of Mashiach is going to build the third temple. That's one of the main features of Mashiach. He's going to build the holy temple, and before that, he's going to make the Jewish people wake up the Jewish people. And when the temple is built, as all the Jewish people, because of their desire to serve God, which that's Judaism, will come to the land of Israel, because you can only serve God in the holy temple, totally in the holy temple. So many laws you can't do without the holy temple. So that's what's going to draw the Jews, and it'll make world peace and etc. Okay, so he says, therefore, I think we can go over. Let's go over here 1 minute. Oh, it says, and soon also we're approaching the month of Adar. Adar, this Shabbat is the last Shabbat of this week, of this month, of this month. And we're blessing the coming month. What's the coming month? The month of Adar. Adar is the last month in the year, the Hebrew year. And after this, we have Adar, that's the Rosh Chodesh, the month that Chirush Levana, when the moon becomes new. It's after this this indicates on the renewal of the Jewish people. Because we say in our prayers, when we sanctify the moon, there's a special prayer that we make every year to remind us as Nusach HaBracha of Kiddush Levana. There's a blessing we make. It used to be in the time of when there was the temple, when there was the high court, is that the high court would sanctify the moon. They would declare when the moon is. They would declare when the next month begins. This lasted even a couple of 100 years after the Holy Temple. 100 years, I think, after the Holy Temple. So they would declare when the month. We don't have that anymore. The months have already been set. They were set by a great man called Hillel. It was not the Hillel in Shammai. This is Hillel after the destruction of the Second Temple. Hillel and Shammai, that's before the Second Temple was destroyed. Second Temple was long before. This is hundreds of years after. Anyway, so it was set. So now we sort of simulate that to remind ourselves that there's a blessing that we make on the moon. And in the moon, it says, as soon as we see the new moon in the sky, and we see the new moon, with the first sliver of the new moon, there's different customs among different groups of Jews. We make it after 7 days. There's some people that make it before of the month. And that we make a blessing and we say that the Jewish people are going to be renewed like the moon. When is that? In the Geula Amitit Veshlema, in the true redemption. Now the moon lights up the nighttime, right? And that's the job of the Jews, is to light up the nighttime. But now we're in nighttime of exile. It says in the future, the Jews are going to be renewed like the moon, but it means not just renewed like the moon becomes renewed every month, but how the moon should be when it was created. When God created the moon and the sun, they were of the same intensity in the beginning, right? On the fourth day of creation, he created the moon and the sun, and they were the same intensity. It says the two, and then God made the moon less, which was the beginning of the whole idea of exile. He made the moon less. But in the future, the moon is going to shine like the sun. That's what we say here. And in the future, that's what's going to be the Jewish people. They're going to be shine like the sun. What does that mean? It means the Jewish people, they will be the proof to the whole world constantly that God exists and creates everybody and cares about everybody. They'll be like the sun. They'll be shining constantly. And that's what happens on Rosh Chodesh. When it falls on Shlishi, this year it doesn't fall on Shlishi. When does it fall? 1 minute. When is Rosh Chodesh? The Rebbe was saying this. It was a different order than this year. Why I should have done this before. Here we go. When will be Rosh Chodesh? This Shabbat, we're going to sanctify the month, and we announce that the next month will begin on which day of the year? 1 second. Shabbat. Oh, right. It's going to be Shabbat, huh? Yeah. It's going to be next Shabbat. Not this Shabbat, next Shabbat. Okay, so in any case, okay, when the Rebbe was speaking, the first day of the month of Adar fell on Tuesday, Yom Shlishi, when God said 2 times, it was good. On the second day of creation, God didn't say it was good because he made a division. On the third day, he made unity, and he said it's good twice. Then there will begin the ultimate good, which is the redemption. The gula of a double good. What does it mean, double? With the gula. The future redemption is connected to the double, because it says there's the end letters, mansapach. So the future redemption is mentioned in various places in the Torah, but usually in sentences that have double letters like lech, lecha, pakad, pokadati, 2 chafs, 2 lameds, 2 pays. It says this is especially in the month of Adar. In the month of Adar is a lucky month. It's a blessed month. Liot chodesh asher nepach. It's the month that was transformed from mourning to happiness. Right? Haman wanted to destroy all the Jews, and suddenly the whole thing turned over. Hasimcha geula. It'll be the redemption that the Jews were saved on Purim. Mismach geula legeula. Purim lepesach. There is a question in Judaism that sometimes once every 3 years, 4 years, in order to keep the lunar calendar, the moon, with the solar calendar, so that it should be in sync, because in Judaism, the month of Nisan always has to fall out in spring. So in order to do that, you can't just go according to the moon. If you're going to the moon, then the seasons won't be according to the months. And it can't be that way. So once every 3 years, as they make an extra month. The extra month is Adar. So an Adar is Purim. So the question is, which month do we make Purim? Do we make it in the first Adar or the second Adar? There's 2 Adars. So finally, it's in the beginning of the Gemara in Megillah. So finally, it decides no. There's a reason to make it in the first Adar, because it says you have to make it in the 12th month, and that's the 12th month, and the extra Adar is the 13th. But finally, it decides no. They make it in the second Adar. Why? Because you want to have redemption close to redemption. The redemption, which was on Purim when we were saved from Haman, we should celebrate that in the month which is closest to it, that also has redemption, which is Passover. So the second Adar is Purim, the miracle of Purim, and that's right before the month of Nisan, when we have the miracle of Passover. The going out of Egypt, I will show you miracles. Mismach gam l'shino yaseder, and also the order will be what the Gula Mitit Vashlema will come before the Gulas Purim. It's going to be it should be, it says the Rebbe, that any instant now will be the future redemption. It says it's supposed to come in Nisan, but the Rebbe said that's what it says. The Moshiach will come and explain why it didn't come in Nisan, why it came now. The Rebbe is speaking in the month in Shvat. It'll come now, right? The future redemption can come before. Okay, again, what's the Rebbe trying to do? He's trying to get us, how do you say, you want to call it nervous, expecting, impatient. Oh, that's the word. Impatient for the redemption. Impatient for the redemption. Right? If a person is standing on the street and he's waiting, and somebody says, "What are you waiting for?" I'm waiting for a bus, but this is not a bus stop. There's no bus that stops over here. What are you waiting for? Right? You wait by a bus stop, and then if the bus doesn't come, you're really disappointed. You call up the company. What happens? I'm waiting here for the bus. The same thing. The Rebbe is trying to make us impatient. We're waiting here in this world. It's the Moshiach is supposed to come any second. He's supposed to change the whole world. The whole world is supposed to be different than what it is now. Instead of the Jewish people being hated and the Jewish people hating Judaism themselves, it's going to be exactly the opposite. Everyone will love God. Everyone will see how much God loves us. Everyone will want to do the commandments. Everyone will realize what tremendous effect has when we do the commandments, what tremendous blessing it brings to the world. Right? The non-Jews will admire the Jews. The Jews will be examples of honesty and integrity and courage and joy and love, and it'll be contagious. The whole world will just be filled with that. That's the redemption. It's supposed to be. It should happen any second. That's what the Rebbe is trying to do. He's trying to make us crazy, that we don't accept the situation that we're in, and we do everything that we are in order to perfect the world. And perfecting the world is a thing that's not just possible. It's mandatory. It's necessary. It has to be here. But on the other hand, in order to do this, you have to do it in a happy way. You have to do it in a pleasant way, right? It's not just so simple as it seems. And there's people that stand in your way, and you sometimes stand in your own way, and you have to overlook things, and you have to be friendly with everybody. And one of the biggest problems, of course, is ourselves. Every person in his own self. That's what we just finished learning in Torah Or, that people are just stuffed up with their own egotism. Which people? Everybody. Well, Hosi Teheran also, that one it says that we have to put redemption next to redemption. This is talking about the second, the Adar Sheni, which is next to Nisan. Adar Sheni. This is not this year. This year is not a double Adar. No. 1 minute. It's not, huh? Can't be. 1 second. What's this going on to use? Shvat, Adar. No, it's not. Right. Okay. There's some years where there's 2 Adar, which is not the case. The first Adar that it says, and the blessing of the month, we can say, Sheshayach bo Adar asamuch l'shvat. And this year we have only 1 Adar, so it's not really relevant, this 2 Adar thing. But it is relevant that Shvat has a connection with Adar, and also Nisan, the month after Adar, also has a connection. Milashan and Mishnah, like it says in the Mishnah, Ein bein Adar Rishon Adar Sheni ela kriyat Megillah umatanot le'avyanim. It's a Mishnah in Megillah. It says when there are 2 months of Adar, as we make Purim in the second Adar, like we said before. But in the first Adar, we also we have what's Purim Katan. We also do some things. What do? It says, it seems to believe from the Mishnah, Shebeshar and Yanim, that everything else that's relevant to the future redemption, they're equal. The 2 Adars, and even more than that, since it's called Adar, both Adars are called Adar. Like I say, when the Rebbe was speaking, there were 2 Adars. Our year, there's not 2 Adars. So we can say that it's called Adar Rishon, even though there's no actual reading of the Megillah, but there must be something special about it. Even it's called Rishon, it's called the first. This is when the decree of Haman, it must be connected to when the decree of Haman was negated, because after all, it says that Purim is supposed to be in the 12th month, and the 12th month is the first Adar. So Lo Yada B'Shiva Asar Nolad. It says that Haman made this decree to kill all the Jews because he threw lots. What was the story of Purim? Haman was a big sorcerer. And Haman knew that he believed in astrology and he believed in all these spiritual things, and it worked for him. He was the top of the world. He was the de facto ruler of the whole world. Haman was. So he wanted, the only thing standing in his way was God, and God, you can't make a war against God. You don't see him, but you see the Jewish people. The Jewish people, that's God's representatives. So he figures to wipe out the Jewish people, and then he'll be free. He can do whatever he wants to. So it seemed to be working. And all the Jewish people, they were all took part of in the meal of Achashverosh. They were all apprehensive. They wanted to get into be friendly. And so he said, he threw lots. Haman threw lots. He said, I'm not going to do it on my own intelligence. I'm going to throw it on the powers of above, right? On, what is it? On luck, on fortune. So he threw lots, and it came out in the month of Adar. The lots that he threw came out in the 11th month, in the 12th month of Adar. So he was very happy. Why? Because he knew Jewish history, and he knew that Moses died in the month of Adar. He died in the 7th day of Adar. So he was very happy. Moses was the whole essence of Judaism. Without Moses, there's no Jews, right? As soon as the Jews thought Moses wasn't there, they worshipped the golden calf. So he said, oh, if there's a month when Moses died, so that's a good month to get the Jews. That must be a weak month for the Jews. It must be a crippled month for the Jews. But he didn't know that that's when Moses also was born in that month. Moses died on the same date that he was born. The main thing of Adar is we find that that's the time when Moses was born. In addition, when there's two Adars, the time when Moses was born was the first Adar, the 12th month. In addition to that, even in the Shabbat Mavorchim, we announce in the Torah, the custom of the Jewish people is Torah, that Rosh Chodesh Adar Rishon is on such and such a day. Hari Keshiyavo Mashiach, when the Mashiach comes immediately, and he'll come even before Rosh Chodesh, then there'll be the Sanhedrin, and they'll start to sanctify the months according to seeing, like it was originally. As Yitachen, it could be that there's a place that the Sanhedrin will sit, and they'll say, there's only one Adar, there's no more two Adars anymore. And the Adar is the one next to Nisan, etc. We can talk about this later. Okay. So what's the Rebbe trying to say? The Rebbe is trying to say the way the world is now is the reason the world is now is sending us a message. Do everything you can to change me. Do everything you can to perfect me. The world as it is now is sick. Do everything you can to heal the world. We have all the signs. We have all the indications. Gorbachev met with Reagan. You see that it's possible that there can be peace in the world. We see that it's possible there can be prosperity in the world. We see that Moshiach is supposed to come any moment. It's the month of Shvat when the Rebbe took over. And we're learning Mishpatim, which talks about even the mundane laws we feel come from God. The whole world is godly. The month of Adar is the month when we defeated all of our enemies. The month of Sivan, of Nisan is the month when the Jewish people got free from Egypt. We were freed. We become a born people, new people. Any instant now, Mashiach has to come. Any instant is going to change the whole world, just like Moses did, just like Mordechai did. It has to happen. May it be God's will, and this is the main thing, the Gula Mitit V'Shlem, that the total redemption by means of the Mashiach will come actually immediately. And certainly, we shouldn't have to wait until the month of Nisan, and also we shouldn't, even the month of Adar, we shouldn't wait. Shouldn't have to wait. It should come immediately. There's no reason why. Begam also lo ad chodesh Adar, not the first Adar. When, like I said, when the Rebbe was speaking, there were two Adars. Even since the Mashiach Tzidkenu is going to come on this Shabbat, he'll come on Shabbat Mavorchim Chodesh Adar, Ubasiyamo, and the end of the month of Shvat. He can come today, the 27th day of Shvat, and especially on Shabbat after Chatzot, the Zaman Mincha and Suda Shlishi. Mashiach can come in 1 second. The Rebbe brought in another place that there's some opinions that say that Kohanim, the priests, cannot, even today, they can't drink wine. A priest is not allowed to drink wine. The opinion is not accepted, but for other side reasons. But the reason why a Kohen is not supposed to drink wine is that it could be that the base of Mikdash will be built. It's going to come from heaven. How that's going to happen, I don't know, but it'll come from heaven. And it takes 24 minutes to get rid of the effects of wine. And a Kohen that's drunk can't serve in the Holy Temple. And you don't know if you're going to be one of the Kohanim that's going to be picked. And how can you be purified? How can you be referred? Don't worry, God will take care of that. It could be that if everybody's impure, it's permissible to work a tuma hiltra b'tzibur. In any case, there's a law that says from the time right now until the temple is built and functioning could be 24 minutes. Huh? Which means the whole world can change like that instantly. And we saw something like that. I mean, for bad is no problem. We saw what happened on October the 7th, right? All of a sudden, the whole world turned over for bad. Right? What exactly happened? Why it happened? How it happened? To this day, they don't have any idea. For some reason, they didn't make an investigation and whatever. Nevertheless, we saw all of a sudden everything just turned over for bad. Says the Rebbe, if so, it's for sure that it can happen for good. For good. And so the Rebbe says, what does it mean for good? That any second now, the third temple will come and it'll be redemption. The whole world will change. Even CNN, those places, they won't be able to ignore it. Like the world has ignored up to now, the whole giving of the Torah, not written in the history books. It won't be, we won't be able to ignore it. And this is, will be attached with the third redemption and the third temple. And came to Lanu, so it should be actual for us. But take of him miyad immediately, in Kol Pirushim, with all the explanations we have, and that we said it should come miyad immediately. Miyad is the first letters of Moshe, Yisrael, Baal Shem Tov, and David, and all the others. The Rebbe once said Miyad is Moshiach, Menachem Shemo. The Rebbe's name is Menachem. Moshiach, Menachem Shemo, and Yosef Yitzchak, and Dovber. That's the previous Rebbe and the Rebbe in his previous Rebbe before. Last three Rebbes. The Baal Shem Tov and David. But call the Pirushim and all the explanations, mamash, should happen really immediately, simply, mamash, immediately. Our only question is, why isn't the Mashiach here now? It has to happen any second, and it will happen any second. And meanwhile, what we have to do is as much good as possible, and not to be nothing, the least amount of negativity as possible. Not to get depressed, not to say bad things about people, not to be lazy, huh? Not to be lazy. Not so easy. to join people that learn Torah, to do commandments, to encourage other people to do commandments, to encourage other people to do Torah, and etc. And eventually, Mashiach, God will have mercy on us and see how we're so crazy for Mashiach, and it'll happen. Okay, now let's have a story. Oh, Yom Yom.